Have you ever wondered what separates the visionaries from the dreamers? Sometimes it all comes down to a single decision, a single moment where you bet everything on yourself. Today, we're diving into the story of a man who did just that, Henry Ford. And no, we're not just talking about the Model T. We're going back further, to a moment that could have ended his dream before it even began. Let's set the scene. It's the late 1890s. The world is on the cusp of a revolution. The horse and buggy still rule the streets, but the air is electric with the promise of something new. In Detroit, a young engineer named Henry Ford is working at the Edison Illuminating Company. He's a bright guy, a hard worker, and he's climbing the corporate ladder. By 1896, he's the chief engineer, earning a very respectable salary of $125 a month. He's got a wife, a young son, and a stable future ahead of him. By all accounts, he's living the American dream. But Henry had a secret passion, a project he worked on tirelessly in a small brick shed behind his house. He called it the quadricycle. It wasn't much to look at, more like a motorized bicycle with 4 wheels. It had a 2-cylinder engine that produced about 4 horsepower. It was loud, clunky, and probably terrified every horse it passed. But to Ford, it was more than just a machine. It was the future. He spent every spare moment tinkering, refining, and dreaming. He wasn't just building a car. He was building a new world, a world where ordinary people, not just the wealthy elite, could own their own transportation. A world of freedom and mobility. This obsession, however, was starting to cause problems. His work at the Edison Company, the very job that paid the bills, was demanding. And his boss, the legendary Thomas Edison himself, had some thoughts on the matter. Now you might think Edison, the ultimate innovator, would be Ford's biggest cheerleader. But the reality was a bit more complicated. At the time, Edison was heavily invested in electric power. He saw electric vehicles, powered by his batteries and his grid, as the logical next step. They were quiet, clean, and didn't require explosive gasoline. He saw Ford's noisy, smelly gasoline engine as a distraction, a dead end. In 1896, at a company convention, Ford finally got the chance to meet his hero, Thomas Edison. He nervously explained his gasoline-powered quadricycle. Edison, intrigued by the young engineer's passion, peppered him with questions. He examined Ford's sketches, listened intently, and then, in a moment that Ford would remember for the rest of his life, Edison slammed his fist on the table and exclaimed, "Young man, that's the thing. You have it. Keep at it. Electric cars will have to keep near a power station. But your car can go anywhere." This was a huge moment for Ford. The greatest inventor of the age had just validated his crazy idea. He went back to his shed with renewed fire, determined to make his dream a reality. But here's where the real conflict begins. As Ford poured more and more time into his automobile project, his duties at the Edison Company began to suffer. His superiors noticed. They saw a brilliant engineer being sidetracked by a hobby. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. It was 1899. Ford was called into his manager's office. The offer was laid on the table, clear as day. He was being offered a promotion to General Superintendent of the Edison Illuminating Company. It was a huge step up, a massive salary increase, and the promise of a secure, prestigious career for life. But there was a catch, a big one. He had to give up his engine. He had to stop messing around with his gasoline buggy and devote himself 100% to the company. This was the moment, the crossroads. On one side, a guaranteed path to success, a safe, comfortable life, financial security for his family, everything he had worked for. On the other side, a rickety machine in a shed, a wild, unproven idea that most people thought was a joke, an uncertain future filled with risk, struggle, and the very real possibility of total failure. What would you do? I mean, really think about it. Your boss, in an industry led by Thomas Edison, is telling you your idea is a dead end and offering you the job of a lifetime. Your family is counting on you. It would have been so easy, so logical, to say yes. To thank them for the opportunity, go home, and park the quadricycle for good. He could have retired a wealthy and respected executive from the Edison Company, and no one would have blamed him. But Henry Ford wasn't built that way. He saw something that his bosses couldn't. He saw a world transformed not by stationary power plants, but by personal freedom. He believed in his vision with every fiber of his being. And so, in that office, faced with the biggest decision of his life, he made his choice. He turned down the promotion. He walked away from the security, the salary, the prestige. He quit his job. Imagine the courage that took. Imagine telling your wife, you've just quit a high-paying job with a stable company to go all in on a noisy contraption that barely works. It was an incredible gamble. In that moment, Henry Ford bet everything on himself. He chose the uncertainty of his dream over the certainty of a career. And that decision changed everything. Free from his obligations, Ford dedicated himself entirely to the automobile. It wasn't an easy road. His first venture, the Detroit Automobile Company, failed. His second, the Henry Ford Company, also faltered, and he was forced out by his investors. That company would later be reorganized into the Cadillac Motor Car Company. Can you believe it? Ford was essentially kicked out of the company that would become Cadillac. He was seen as a failure, a tinkerer who couldn't handle the business side of things. Many people would have given up right there. But Ford's belief, forged in that decision to quit his job, was unbreakable. In 1903, with what little money he had left and a handful of investors who still believed in him, he tried one last time. He founded the Ford Motor Company. This time, he had a singular vision. He wasn't just building cars for the rich. He was building a car for the great multitude. A car that the man who built it could also afford to buy. This led to the creation of the revolutionary moving assembly line, and in 1908, the legendary Model T. The rest, as they say, is history. The Model T put the world on wheels. It revolutionized manufacturing, created the American middle class, and fundamentally reshaped modern society. And it all goes back to that one moment, that one decision in 1899. The decision to turn down a safe career and leap into the unknown, armed with nothing but an idea and an unshakable belief in himself. Henry Ford's story is more than just a history lesson. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the safest path isn't the one that leads to greatness. It's a testament to the power of conviction. It teaches us that our biggest breakthroughs often lie just on the other side of our biggest risks. So the next time you face a choice between the safe and the uncertain, think of Henry Ford in that shed. Ask yourself, what's your quadricycle? And are you brave enough to bet on it? Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the decisions that changed the world. Let me know in the comments what you think about Ford's monumental choice. See you in the next video.